From Pierce Field in Arlington, Massachusetts, ACMi Sports bring to you the Arlington Spy Ponders versus the Haverhill Hillies. I'm your host and color commentator this evening, Nick Antonakis. And man, what a huge matchup we have between the Spy Ponders and the Hillies tonight. The Spy Ponders unfortunately suffered a big playoff loss last week against Peabody. Now, while on the score sheet it was rough from a score of 34-0, the Spy Ponders had a lot of positives in that game that they hope to replicate here tonight against the Hillies. Now, the Spy Ponders and the Hillies will kick off here in just a few seconds as they're lining up, so we'll send it up to Brendan Locke in the booth to get things started.
Thank you, Nick. We are set to get underway from Mary Pierce Field. Alex Gomes back deep, back to send the ball away for the Hillies. And it's a low squibber that's picked up by Dylan McGahan, just shy of the 40-yard line. So the Spy Ponder offense will take over at about the 38-yard line. And most notably, the Arlington Spy Ponders are without their starting quarterback, Roshan Mandel, in at quarterback, Jack Zambardino. Of course, this offense is still run through Caden Mills, the star running back for the Spy Ponders, and it's a give to Mills right away, and he's met in the backfield by Desir Ariel, the senior lineman, as Nick Antonakis has run up from the sideline and joined me in the booth. Nick, I was just mentioning how Spy Ponders don't have senior quarterback Roshan Mandel, and now we get to see Jack Zambardino should be the starter for next year.
Yeah, Zambardino, we haven't seen too much of him this year, Brendan. Again, thanks so much for joining us. But yeah, as you said, junior quarterback Roshan Mandel down and out with an injury, so it'll be interesting. We'll probably see the Spy Ponders replicate some of what they have in the past this year with some Wildcat, whether that's to Kerbal or Mills is yet to be seen.
As this is a give to Mills, he squirts out for about 5 yards, out to about the 43. Setting up a 3rd and medium first test for the Spy Ponder offense.
And Mills has been a huge part of this offense all year, Brendan. We've seen it left and right. The guy's breaking records, it seems, with the stats that he's put up throughout the year. So it'll be interesting to see how the Spy Ponders use him today.
The magic number has been 100 yards for Caden Mills. 100 yards, 100 all-purpose yards. Spy Ponders win. And when he gets less, I believe they don't have a win, as that was a catch by Jake Kerbal on a little bubble screen, and that will pick up the first Spy Ponder first down of the game.
Kerbal is such a versatile player, Brendan. We've seen him on all sides of the field. Obviously on offense, we've seen him majority of the time at wide receiver, but he's also taken a lot of snaps at Wildcat for quarterback, so he's had a big impact on the Spy Ponders offense this year.
Zambardino looks to the sideline. Mandel gives him the signal, and waist-high snap, fires right, and a nice catch there by Alexi Traprosis. The freshman has shown out really well the second half of the season.
He's come alive, Brendan, in these past couple leagues. His older brother, Nico, is on the team as well, right? So Alexis obviously having a huge impact.
Especially for a freshman.
I know. It's good to see the Spy Ponders getting a good amount of young players in the lineup who are making an impact. And we saw Haverhill bring the heat on that last play. Zambardino just got the ball out in time. It was a little bit of a high pass, but it's explained because of the pressure he was facing.
This is a fullback dive. A little old-school football. O-line got a really nice push there. That was Ori Forrest on the carry.
And I don't think we've seen any fullback reps from the Spy Ponders this year. At least I haven't from the producer side of things, Brendan.
That was the first time I've seen them line up in an old-school I formation.
Worked out well. 5-yard gain, move the chains. Spy Ponders offense stays on the field.
Nice opening drive here from the Spy Ponders. So interesting little mix-up here, Nick, is that normally we've seen Roshan Mandel head back to the sideline and get the play call. This time they're using, much like you would see in college, hand signals from the sideline, something we haven't seen from the Spy Ponders yet. This is a give to Mills, who spins out across the 35-yard line and picks up about 7.
And that's actually really interesting, Brennan, that you brought that up, the whole hand signals aspects in terms of calling plays. That was such a huge, I guess, part of the Spy Ponders pre-play atmosphere, I guess, seeing Mendel go to the sideline, get the play call, and head back. I guess maybe it's sort of to kind of keep the tempo up by keeping the offense completely on the field, which is interesting to see. And so far, it's worked great for the Spy Ponders on this first drive.
Zambardino in the shotgun. Mills off of his left hip. It's a give to Mills, trying to bounce it outside, and he's across the 20. Inside the 10-yard line, he cuts upfield to the pylon, and he will walk in. Caden Mills, a lightning strike. 6-0 Spy Ponders.
And, Brendan, that's what we've seen from Caden Mills all year long, those dynamic runs. This time we saw it go to the outside. He makes a great move towards the sideline to stay in bounds, trucks into the end zone, and the Spy Ponders take an early 6-0 lead.
Now here's something you don't see every day.
Extra point. And is that Zambardino taking it?
Zambardino,
Oh.
yeah. The quarterback to kicker.
See how this works out for Arlington.
I think he's been the kicker all year. Zambardino's kick is up and good. So Spy Ponders lead 7-0. That was about a 4.5-minute drive, capped off by a 35-yard Caden Mills touchdown. And that has been the key cog in this Arlington offense all year.
I wouldn't expect it any other way, Brendan. He's been scoring all year long, Mills, especially in that running format. We've seen him do everything on this Arlington Spy Ponders offense. So now's the time for the Hills to respond. The Hillies have an opportunity here to try and tie things up as the Spy Ponders will get their first defensive possession of the day.
Impressive command there by Zambardino. Nice. Completed two for 2 on the passing front.
And you got to wonder why Mendel is out. Obviously, we've seen all year long he struggled with some injury issues. But could this be a nod from head coach Frank Roche to possibly weigh his options heading into next year and kind of see how things may pan out? Because obviously both of these quarterbacks are juniors. They're going to both be on the team next year. So, ooh, squib kick there.
That kick was recovered by Alex Gomes, who
Alex Gomez on the reception of the kickoff, ball on the 32-yard line, first down leader.
Hilly's offense led by junior quarterback James Farrell. And we have an early flag, first play from scrimmage.
Might have been an illegal motion. Oh, no, it's jump on the defense.
Jumped offsides.
So that'll give Haverhill a free 5 yards to start off their first drive of the game. A cold night here in Arlington, Brendan. This is kind of the time of year that we don't get to see too often in terms of Arlington football, these cold, brisk evenings. It's about 42 degrees out right now, so it's going to be interesting to see how these guys pan out.
No breeze, though.
Yeah, luckily no winds.
And it's keeper all the way for Farrell, rolling right and stepping up and making a nice open field tackle. That is Manu Mahithrian. The safety stepped up and made a nice open field tackle, and the Hillies are going with a little bit of tempo. Farrell fires across the middle.
Oh.
He's got a man. Sean Boyce. It's a foot race. Can they run him down? They cannot. Touchdown. Haverhill.
Arlington's secondary just collapsed on that, Brendan.
A 2-play, 65-yard slant route.
And as you said, Sean Boyce, I believe, was in coverage alongside Caden Mills there in the back. We just saw him slip through a seam right in the middle. That was number 1 for Haverhill.
Carrillo.
Devin Carrillo. He was wide open down the middle. And just like that, Haverhill's tied things up here if they can net this extra point.
Looks like they're going for 2. Oh, a little swinging gate.
Oh, man.
Here's a formation you don't see too often, the swinging gate. Nick, I got to remind you, the center is eligible to catch the ball here. Keep an eye out for that. And they flip it to him.
Oh, my God.
Devin Carrillo picks up the touchdown and the 2-point conversion. 8-7. Haverhill Hillies lead.
Now, Brendan, I'll take you back in time a little bit. I believe it was last year against Woburn. You and I were calling the game. I remember Woburn might have been, I don't know if it was Woburn, but it was a team that only had 1 win on the year. And they came
Probably
out the gates flying. Yeah, probably wasn't Woburn, but they came out of the gates flying with all these different formations. They used the swinging gate about 3 times in that game, and it worked every single time on the Spy Ponders.
The swinging gate might be my favorite position in all of football, Nick. You've very rarely seen, very rarely well executed. We just saw both there on the 2-point conversion. Always remember the center's eligible on the swinging gate, Nick.
Yeah, you read it like a book, Brendan, and what do? They go right to the center.
It's unbelievable.
Just like that, Haverhill has the lead now, 8-7.
So we're just about 5 minutes into this game. And we have had some early fireworks, 2 big plays, and another squib kick that is scooped up. And nearly losing the ball as he was tackled was Ryan Skull.
And here comes Arlington's offense again, Brendan. We saw on that last play, they were able to move down the field pretty effectively on their first drive of the game. Mills had a pretty good amount of involvement in terms of the run game. It's going to be up to Haverhill to have to put a halt to him, as he's been a threat for the Spy Ponders all year long.
He sure has. This offense will go as far as Caden Mills will take him. This is a give to Mills, trying to get around the corner, and he makes a man miss, cutting through the middle, running over a defender and picking up a first down. And a good start for the Spy Ponder offense.
That's what Mills is known for, Brendan, turning something that looks like it's going to be a negative play into something that ends up going for 10 yards and a first down. We saw him wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage on that last play, just able to shake off defenders like it's nothing. Fly forward all the way to the 51, or the 49, I should say, and the Spy Ponders move the chains already on first down.
Zambardino gives to Mills, and he's brought down. He was brought down by number 75, but there's no 75 on the Haverhill roster, so.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I hate when that happens. Second and 7 for the Spy Ponders. And once again in this I formation, it's a toss to Mills. And he is brought down by a host of white jerseys there, setting up a 3rd and 4.
We've seen a lot of runs by Arlington so far here today. The 2 pass plays that we saw in Arlington's opening drive were effective, but Haverhill doing a pretty good job of at least containing the secondary to force Arlington into these constant run design plays that we've seen so far throughout the game.
3rd and 5. Zambardino had trouble with the snap. He flips it off to Kerbal, who shakes a man free. He's still on his feet. He's out across the 20, running to the pylon, and he is in. Touchdown, Spy Ponders. Jake Kerbal. And Nick, we have some fireworks early in this game.
what a play by Jake Kerbel. Something that seemed to me the decision-making there by Zambardino to throw below the first down line is something that you really have to trust your wide receiver to do effectively. Kerbel able to catch that ball, shake a defender, get the first down, and he just took it all the way. Such dynamic speed by the senior captain to push all the way forward, and the Spy Ponders already up now in a game that you said has been fireworks so far, Brendan.
Zambardino's kick is up and good. So, catch your breath, Nick. 14-8, less than 7 minutes into the game.
And what a consolation bracket game, Brendan, if we can even consider that this is a consolation bracket game. It's been a dynamic start for both teams, and both of these teams have something to prove, Brendan. Obviously, not being in the playoff race anymore, they're still both representing that they have something to play for, and it's been a dynamic back-and-forth contest, and we're not even out of the first quarter yet.
Hope you didn't take the under.
Would I ever take the under with an Arlington Spy Ponders offense, Brendan? Come on.
No. I hope nobody in the stands here took the under. We're getting a little bit of a student section. Look as we look down to our right. The far right of the Arlington
cheerleaders keeping everybody hyped up.
Of course.
I see they have a 50-50 raffle going here.
Yeah, we've seen them pass many times. Zambardino end over end kick, and Devin Carrero back to receive it out to the 30-yard line. So we've had 3 possessions and 3 touchdowns. Let's see if James Farrell and company can respond.
And for Arlington's defense now, Brendan, it's going to be having to stop that deep pass game. We saw just a complete corruption on Arlington's part on that touchdown for Haverhill. So they got to be able to contain the wideouts in this.
Farrell rolling right, looking downfield. He's got a man open. Oh, and it was bobbled and dropped by Manu Mahithrian.
And as soon as I say you got to contain the wideouts, specifically number 1, Carrero, they go to him in triple coverage, to say the least, Brendan. They still look his way. It seemed that he had a step on his defender, but Manu, as you said, a great step up by him, able to get his hands on it, just unable to come down with it as we're back to 2nd and 10 now for Haverhill.
Really nice job dropping in coverage there by Manu Mahithrian. Farrell looks right, flush from the pocket. And a long sideline throw is incomplete.
Ooh, I was going to say, did he get that?
Once again, intended for Devin Carrero.
Carrero's been getting a lot of targets so far here today, Brendan. I mean, obviously he had the touchdown reception on Haverhill's first drive, but I think they've been looking his way every single time.
I think they've thrown 4 passes, and Carrero has 4 targets, I believe.
And what, 1 reception?
1 reception, yeah. Or maybe three passes, 3 targets. 1 reception for like 75 yards and a touchdown.
And let's look. Where's Carrero now on the top of your screen?
They look that way. And a wobbly pass. Looks like it was caught, and it is.
Ooh, I don't know.
That was Spencer Rue, the junior.
Would have loved to have a replay on that. Unfortunately, our replay operators are not able to be here today. But to me, it looked as he was coming down with that, Brendan. I don't know if he survived the ground, but the refs say otherwise, and Haverhill's offense stays on the field.
I believe that catching that ball was Max St. Hilaire, not Spencer Rue. I got 28 and 82 mixed up. This is a give up the middle to Alex Gomes.
And Gomes has some size to him, Brennan. Obviously, we see him in the backfield. He's towering over a lot of his offensive linemen, and I think that's why we've seen him on the run so much today. He's just been dynamic in terms of the run game around all the pocket.
Carrero sent in motion across the zone. And they push Farrell out just shy of the 45-yard line.
Okay, yeah, correction. I meant James Farrell has been towering over his offensive line today. And we've seen him on plays that he's not looking in the way of Carrero. He's taking his own number and running it. We've seen him roll outside many times in the pocket. He has some size to him. He's shaked a couple of defenders. Possibly a dual-threat quarterback that Haverhill could unleash today.
3rd and 5. Haverhill 1 for 1 on 3rd down conversions this drive. Helmet high snap, firing over the middle, and it was dropped. That was Carrero again.
If he came down with that, he would have had a touchdown. He would have been gone.
I think he was thinking about him having a touchdown.
Arlington's got to play a little bit more conservative in terms of the secondary, because if your last guy is matched up against theirs last guy, you got to have a safety running alongside your corner on that one, because as we saw in the opening drive for Haverhill, they just ripped through the secondary and went all the way for a touchdown, and it looks like they're going to go for it here on 4th down. Oh, no, they're punting.
There they are, punting. Alex Gomes, the running back.
Still trying to shake off the rust, Brandon.
Yeah, haven't been in the booth. And the snap is over his head. Gomes back to retrieve it. He is able to pick it up, and he throws it way downfield, incomplete.
That was probably a smart decision, because
versus taking the sack, definitely.
At least now they'll keep possession, or at least the new line of scrimmage for Arlington will be right at midfield around the their own 43, I want to say, on Haverhill's 43. Actually, right on the 45.
If he did not get that,
would have been a red zone entry for Arlington already.
That would have been a really short field for the Spy Ponders. So the Spy Ponders take over in plus territory.
2:07 to go in the first quarter, Brendan.
Zambardino has trouble with the snap, but he falls right onto it.
We saw Haverhill lining up to bring the heat on that. Hopefully the miscommunication in terms of the snap is just a clockwork thing not working out, and not because of the seeming pressure that was coming Zambardino's way.
So Arlington a little bit behind the chains here, 2nd and 12. Post is sent across the line. Mills carries it out just shy of the 25-yard line. We'll see where they spot it. They mark him short of the line to gain. So this will be a 3rd and about 1. And it's a give to Mills. Still on his feet. They cannot bring him down. Caden Mills brought down inside the 10-yard line at about the 6.
Just incredible strength there by Caden Mills to stay on his feet. I feel like it's just so repetitive to say that he's constantly breaking tackles, but it's just the fact of the matter here. Just constantly shaking defenders off like it's nothing.
You can't arm tackle him. You really got to wrap up.
Yeah, we had 2 guys on his back there that had to bring him down inside of the 10. So Spy Ponder's lucky to have a player like him. It's just, in thinking about it, when you come towards the end of the season, I'll finish after.
This is a toss to Mills that picks up maybe a yard as he ducked out of bounds with 30 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
But as you're getting to these end of the season games, Brendan, as I was saying before, you kind of start to assess the talent you have in front of you. And considering that the two major weapons for the Spy Punters have been Mills and Kerbal, both of those two being seniors, and Mills being such like a game changer in terms of his impact on the majority of the Spy Punters' wins this season. It's going to be interesting to see how they adapt going into next year and kind of build around a new sort of core here in Arlington.
Zambardino on the give to Mills, and he'll score standing up. Arlington takes advantage of the short field, and it is 20-8 Spy Ponders.
And that's just clockwork for Arlington. Red zone offense, you line up with Mills, it's basically a given that the Spy Ponders are going to get into the end zone when they're lined up like that. And as we saw there, Mills able to cash in his second score of the day, and the Spy Ponders looking to go up by 2 scores here.
Extra point up and good, 21-8, and we're not even through the first quarter yet, Nick.
It's been a shootout, Brendan. Back and forth between the Spy Ponders and the Hillies so far here today. And now it's up to Haverhill. What are they going to be able to do here on this next possession to try and claw their way back into this one? Of course, still plenty of time to play. As you said, it's still the first quarter. Still 3 full quarters of action to get through, but Haverhill already finding themselves in a 2-score hole.
Zambardino set to boot the ball away. And an end-over-end kick. A bouncing ball that is eventually picked up. And cutting across the 40. One man to beat. And he's out across the field. Jaden Brito. Touchdown. Haverhill. And just like that.
What started as such a disastrous play for Haverhill, Brendan, obviously when you're bobbling the kickoff like that, it's never a good sign, and it's always just seeing red for the special teams. How am I going to be able to punch the ball out? How am I going to be able to capitalize on this mishandling by the special teams of Haverhill? But they just turn it into a touchdown on that. Just a great read of the blocks he had in front of him, and as we saw Zambardino in the back there, he has no chance to catch a dynamic punt returner like that. And here comes the swinging gate again, Brendan.
And this time they go with the screen pass and scoring standing up, Brandon Pirano. Catch your breath, Nick. 21-16, we're not even through the first quarter.
I thought we were done with scores for the first quarter, Brendan. I was ready to close out on a high note for Arlington, but
we
now
might have a Caden Mills kick return as well. Who could say? Exciting stuff here at Mary Pierce Field.
We still got 10 seconds to go, Brendan. I've seen crazier things in Arlington sports.
We certainly have.
And, yeah, there's Mills back to receive, as well as Jake Kerbal. We saw Kerbal have a punt return touchdown earlier in the season. I believe it was against – oh, man, I can't believe I'm blanking on this now. I want to say Lexington. It was one of Arlington's games of the year. They got blown out pretty bad. Oh, no, it was the game that Mendel threw 4 interceptions. And Kerbal climbed back into it. Well, not that we climbed back into it, but one of the highlights of the day was Kerbal's punt return score. We've seen him do it many times. We've seen Caden Mills do it many times throughout his career.
Alex Gomes back
I wouldn't
deep.
kick it to him if I was Haverhill.
And here he is, Caden Mills. A burst of speed. Still on his feet, down the sideline, across the 35-yard line.
Oh, he saw the light of day there, Brendan, as we close out the first quarter. Arlington obviously will start in great field position, but just barely pushed out of bounds. What a first quarter that would have been if he cashed in.
An unbelievable first quarter. 5 touchdowns in one quarter. 21-16 after 12 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Second quarter set to get underway. Nick, that was a lot to take in 12 minutes.
A lot of action in front of us, Brendan. A lot to consume for sure. And the Spy Ponders not looking to slow down whatsoever as they take off here all the way from the 35-yard line. And it looks like he's already looking deep.
Zambardino.
Why float that?
Just floated it over Nico Trapostis' head. Looked like he had him, tried to lead him just a bit too much.
When you're faced with that opportunity, Trapostis had no one on him. You just got to just toss that to him. I mean, you don't even have to throw a bullet. Just kind of get it in his arms. You don't want to float something like that because in that case, you're giving the defensive back a chance to swoop in and pick you off.
Exactly right.
This new signal system by Arlington's working out really interestingly today. The amount of interesting formations that we see the coaches in on the sideline is really intriguing.
Zambardino, waist-high snap, and he'll keep it, trying to make a man miss. Still on his feet, and eventually pushed out of bounds at the 30-yard line.
He was dancing around in the pocket there, Brendan.
He was
I'm
dead to
impressed.
rights. He was dead to rights.
And I think I got to eat my words from before, that kick return touchdown that saw Zambardino as the last line of defense for Arlington. I was like, there's no way a quarterback is going to be able to catch on that. Quarterbacks typically don't have that type of footwork, but
quarterback kicker.
Maybe I lied, because that was a great representation of his footwork in the pocket there. He danced around and turned a negative play into a positive.
3rd and 7 ball on the 30-yard line. Zambardino, it's a little flip screen pass, and he missed Nico Trapostis. He had him on a little tunnel screen, unable to connect.
Haver was bringing the heat on that. He had to get that ball out fast. Unfortunately, just a little bit behind Trapostis. And it looks like Arlington's going to go for it here on 4th down.
So, the first time we've seen a team go for it on 4th down today. And rolling right, it's a little throwback to Mills. Caden Mills gets around the corner, across the 10, lowers his shoulder to the pylon. He's in. Caden Mills, a 4th and 7 conversion. Touchdown, Spy Ponders.
And we saw on the Haverhill side of things, I believe it was number 56, Alexander Field. He just struggled to get to Caden Mills there off the line. And from there, once he had his acceleration up, it was done. Mills just drives his way into the end zone. and does what he always does, I feel. Now Arlington looking to assert themselves back up 2 scores and possibly going for 2, it may look like.
Spy Ponders look like they're going for 2. That would make it a 13-point game.
Oh,
And
this is
they're
interesting.
lined up. It's a give to Ori Forrest. Darian Cherry behind him pushing. It will depend on the spot.
They gave him a little bit of a generous amount of time before the stopping of forward progress was enacted, but regardless, it's no good. Valiant effort by Ori Forrest. We saw the fullback dive work earlier in the contest, but when you're stacked in the red zone like that, it's tough because, you know, Haverhill's expecting nothing less.
11-point game, and 35 seconds into the second quarter, we have yet another touchdown, Nick.
And in a shootout game like this, it's always just waiting and anticipating what the next team's going to do. Now, what's Haverhill going to do to respond to Arlington here? Just a second ago, they were down 2 scores. They changed that pretty quickly. Can they just keep the mental strength to just keep coming back on the field and playing the way that they have throughout the game so far to stay consistent and stay up to pace until their defense can kind of get their legs under themselves and get some stops?
So, Drex Zambardino is set to kick it away again, and Devin Carrero and Jaden Brito are back deep to receive. And this time it's a low squib, fielded by Tucker Grant, and he gets out just over the 35-yard line.
He got rocked there. That was number 41, Ori Forrest, making up for his missed 2-point conversion and absolutely decking the Hillies to hold him back. Definitely didn't want a repeat of that last special teams play by the Spy Ponders that gave up that kick return touchdown. And James Farrell enters the field from the sideline. A lot of pressure going on him now to convert in the passing game, especially when you're down 2 scores. You got to start to convert when it comes to getting the ball through the air.
This is a give to Tucker Grant. No,
he kept it himself.
That was James Farrell on the keep.
Good fake. He had me fooled at the first sight too there, Brendan.
Yeah, you had me.
And that's that size I was talking about earlier, is they're not going to seemingly slow down here, but Farrell's been trucking through the pocket all day long. Spy Ponder's got to watch him.
This time he wasn't ready for the snap. And it looks like he fell right back on it, went right off of his chest plate.
That's unfortunate, considering that Haverhill was really taking strides to speed up the pace of their offensive play, and it's just totally brought to a halt by that miscommunication by the offensive lineman and Farrell.
And this snaps over his head. Farrell back to get it. He dives on it.
That's the second time that's happened today.
And setting up a 3rd and a mile.
Oh, my God. This may be the longest 3rd down conversion I've ever seen. It's looking like a 3rd and Mr. Barnes puts it right. 3rd and a long way to go is certainly right there. Oh, well, now that they take a timeout, we'll have a second to count this.
3rd and 40?
Oh, gee.
Is what I have it at.
3rd and almost a half a field.
That's by my count. I'm certainly no math guy, but
I'm going to try and do it too. I haven't taken math since high school, so
I believe it's 3rd and 40.
Emerson math waivers not clutching me up here. Let's see.
30 to the 50 is 30.
Yeah, that's 30. About 31.
Yeah.
31 yards.
No, 41, because then they have to go the other 40.
No, 20. Wait, it's at the 20. It's at the 28. Anyway.
Regardless.
It's a long
Farrell
distance.
with a long looping ball downfield. No, it's not intercepted.
That was gift wrapped there for number 34 for the Arlington Spy Ponders, Alexi Trapotsis. The rookie, the freshman, he's had a great involvement on the offensive side of the ball so far this year. Had a gift wrapped interception there for him. Unfortunately, just unable to come down with it.
Although that might not be a bad thing based on how the last long snap went for the Hillies.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you could be looking at a safety here if things turn out the way they did last time. It's fourth down.
Alex Gomes.
You got to get these special teams plays right. This is where special teams are really going to start to bite you.
It was a high snap, but he's able to get it off. And Trapotsis will let the ball bounce by him. A nice punt. Really good roll for the Hillies.
Wow.
And that is touchdown at the 15-yard line. So Spy Ponder offense will have to go 85 yards. But that is the second punt of the game.
Minimal punts in a high school football game is not something you see every day, Brendan.
We're not seeing – this is an offensive showcase.
Arlington hasn't even punted the ball yet today.
They've not. So out trots Jack Zambardino. Spy Ponders take over at the 15. Awaiting a signal from the sideline, and the offense looks like they're ready to get set. This is a give to Trapotsis, and he's wrapped up.
He had a great first step there off the line of scrimmage, Brendan. It's just Haverhill defenders just swarmed him. They've been reading the short pass well so far today. I mean, the run has not been their strength, but, I mean, with Caden Mills matched up against you, it's not going to be easy. But in terms of short balls, they've come a long way in terms of kind of halting Arlington so far here today.
And, Nick, this points on this drive would be absolutely massive, making it a 3-possession game for the Spy Ponders. Obviously, as Mills carries that out to the 24-yard line, which will set up a 3rd and 2. But 3 possessions is really hard to come back from in high school football.
Definitely. Even in a game like this, Brendan, where you still have a lot of time to play, we haven't even reached the second half yet. Just the fact of being down 3 scores against a team that has such a dynamic weapon like Caden Mills, it's really tough to climb out of that hole. So a very important defensive drive here for Haverhill.
This is a give up the middle of Forrest.
Ooh, I don't know if he got that. It's going to be really close.
We've seen that fullback dive a handful of times this game. And I believe the back judge is pointing to move the chains. They're going to measure.
Ooh. That was really close, Brendan. I mean, personally, from my eye line, I don't think he got it, which would be huge for Haverhill. Oh, and
oh, they're not even.
76 was heated on that. He was jumping up and down, pointing at the refs.
They're not even going to measure it. They just said first down.
Wesley LaRue was in distress for the Hillies. But regardless, they still have Arlington pinned pretty deep in their own end. This isn't a wash in terms of trying to get a big defensive stop here, but Arlington going to try to get things going pretty fast as Haverhill seems a little bit scrambled on the defensive side of the ball here.
I believe our Haverhill head coach Rob Pike is speaking to the refs most likely about the spot.
Rightfully so. I mean, that was a big
That's a big third down.
Yeah, it's a big measurement in terms of, like, especially considering what you said.
Well, especially
If you go
not
down a
even-
3-score hole, it's so hard to come back. So getting a stop like that could have turned the game around completely. But regardless, maybe
if I
Haverhill
had-
use that as fuel.
If I had to guess, I would think that it's because of him that they didn't even bring out the chains.
Yeah.
Mills
Oh.
out across the 40, down the sideline, cutting up field, spinning free. Brought down at the 35. The ball popped free, but after he was down, Caden Mills.
And you know what's crazy to me, Brendan? After all the dynamic runs that Mills has had throughout his entire career, and even in this game, to say the least, all you see is Haverhill guys just trying to rip at the ball. Just take the guy down. He's proven all year long that he has such great awareness, I guess, of keeping the ball secure. That, I mean, considering how strong Mills has been in terms of holding on to the ball and taking hits like that and breaking tackles, I would just be putting all your power towards just trying to take him down.
This is Mills, and he's spun down.
You got to get him wrapped up. He's such a dynamic running back and football player in general. His footwork is just through the roof that it's just so pivotal that you just got to get him wrapped up as soon as possible. And the longer that he's on his feet, the more difficult it becomes to take him down because he just creates such great scenarios, I guess, out of such bleak-looking plays for Arlington.
Have to give a shout out on that big Mills run to Brady Beckenhughes, the
Oh, yeah.
the left tackle, got out in front, really sealed that edge.
The O-line for
For
Arlington
Caden
has been
Mills.
outstanding this year for the most part, considering all of the injuries that they've had to endure. New guys that shift in. Obviously, we saw Emil Bachawati come in. And for the most part, it's been a great showing for the Arlington offensive line. As that's not the best time to say that.
That was a jet sweep that went absolutely nowhere on the give to Nico Trapostis. So a 3rd and long for the Spy Ponder offense. We dip under the 5-minute mark. Remaining in the half. Zambardino, it's a give up the middle to Mills. And he gains no more than 4 or 5 yards, depending on the spot.
Yeah, they're going to give him 4.
So, 4th and about 9. 4th and 8. For the Spy Ponders.
And this is a big play for Haverhill. They need this stop.
Zambardino drops back, looking left. Fires over the middle, and it is caught by Trapostis across the 10, staying on his feet, walking in. Touchdown, Spy Ponders. A 4th and 9 conversion turns into a touchdown, and that is 33 points on the board for the Spy Ponders.
That's the second time the Spy Ponders have taken a 4th down conversion and turned it into a score today, Brendan, which goes to show just how effective the Spy Ponders have been in high-pressured situations throughout a lot of times this year. Twice now they've been faced with, you got to get a 1st down or you're getting off the field, and they've turned both of those, exceeding expectations in both scenarios and cashing in on touchdowns for both of them. And now they go up 3 scores. This is exactly what Haverhill wanted to avoid.
Jack Zambardino, this is the most effective that we have seen the Spy Ponder offense, which has been a good offense throughout this year, Nick. But Zambardino really has this offense clicking.
And you got to credit the O-line there again. He had all day to throw that ball, and we saw Haverhill really trying to prevent the deep ball on that one. They were playing deep coverage with their safeties, but Zambardino takes the time. You know, on paper, it was probably a deep route that was designed for his number one option. He takes the time, assesses options, sees that lane down the middle, goes to Trapotsis, and he, again, you got to credit Trapotsis on that one because he makes a play for himself.
Yet another squib kick, and Tucker Grant gets out to the 40-yard line. So this Hilly offense now needing a response, down 18 points.
And they gotta at least be happy with the 2-point conversions that they've gotten today, because on paper, you could technically, bring yourself pretty close if you get 2 scores in a 2-point conversion. Then you're only down 2. So if the math works out down the line, these 2-point conversions could save you a score. But regardless, you can't be banking on special teams mishaps on behalf of Arlington to rack up your points. You got to get some points here on the offensive side of the ball.
There's 27 minutes of football left as well, Nick.
Yeah, still plenty of time to play. And we saw in the first quarter, 5 scores. It can happen like in an instant.
Farrell rolling right, looking in that direction, and incomplete.
He's thrown a lot of balls on the run today, Brendan. We've seen him rolling outside the pocket and throwing on his second or third step when he's on the run. A lot of those passes not coming out too crisp. I think he's got to work on setting his feet a little bit before he throws, because he doesn't have that oomph that he has when he sets his feet.
Second and 10 for the Hillies. Farrell with time, fires over the middle, and a tremendous catch by Devin Carrero.
Wow.
That had some juice on it, Nick.
What a grab. And Trapotsis in cover, Nico Trapotsis in coverage. He was pretty tight against him there. Just the ability to reach out and get your hands on the ball and just grasp it when it's going that fast is just really impressive to see. Floats that one out of bounds. You have to get rid of that.
Farrell had Carrero open, but unable to flip his hips.
Dylan McGann under pressure there for the Spy Ponders. He was applying the heat.
The sophomore, Dylan McGahan, we've seen him on special teams, but I believe this is the first game action that we've seen from him.
Does a good job getting to the quarterback there, has to force him to throw it away, and just like that, one less down to deal with if you're Arlington's defense.
Farrell looking downfield, surveying his options. This time he just flips it off. And trying to spin free, he flipped it to Jaden Brito. And
what a hit stick there by Caden Mills to put him to a halt.
Setting up third and manageable.
Great assessment there, though, by number 17 for the Hillies, James Farrell, to weigh his options. Obviously, he had plenty of time to get rid of that ball and just assesses to take the quick gain of yards and set him and his team up for a more manageable third down conversion.
And Rob Pike didn't like what he saw, so a crucial third down coming up. 2:36 remaining. Hillies have the ball on the Spy Ponder 35, 3rd and 5.
And for Haverhill, Brendan, you got to assume here, I guess, that it's an extremely pivotal possession. Not only are you faced with a detrimental 3rd and 6 here, obviously I'd say this is 4-down territory based off the score sheet and I guess their field positioning as well. You're inside the 40-yard line now, around the 35, so you will probably be going for it here on 4th down. You can weigh that as an option, as we only have 2 minutes, 36 seconds to go. But you really need a score here on this drive. And if I'm Haverhill, honestly, I'm taking my time, and I'm getting down to the end zone with as little time left on the clock as possible, because you're receiving that second-half kickoff. The less time you give Arlington with the ball here to close out the half, the less of a chance they have to further extend their lead as you try to climb back into this. Now a timeout, Arlington.
Timeout for Arlington.
chess match.
They sent Alex Gomes in motion out of the backfield. That was the same play that we saw that second play, 75-yard touchdown.
Yep.
For the Hillies.
They're just able to penetrate the middle down deep. Spy Ponders got to contain the secondary if they want to survive those types of plays, especially when you're in this range. You can literally toss it right into the receiver's arms, and he's stepping in the end zone already. You don't even have to deal with the rest of the field in front of you. So you really cannot afford to give up a chunk play like that, And regardless, but if I'm Haverhill, I'm just trying to make Arlington bite on that option so you can get down low and try and drain some more of this clock because, like I said, you really don't want to give the Spy Ponders, who have scored on every single drive that they've had this game, an opportunity to further their lead before the end of the half.
Hillies go empty on 3rd and 5, and it's a keeper the whole way for Farrell. Pushing his way, it will depend on the spot.
I like that call, Brennan. I can't lie. It keeps the clock running. We've seen Farrell have a good amount of opportunities so far today in terms of converting when he moves the ball on his own, and regardless, they're 1 yard short. They're going to go for it here.
So 4th and 1, they marked him short and possibly trying to draw him off sides. And another timeout.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that, Brennan. I was praising the play call before, but if I'm Haverhill here, I'm sending number 17, James Farrell, right up to the line of scrimmage. You take that snap and you just pound forward.
Tush push.
Yeah, literally.
What we've seen the Eagles make so popular in the NFL has definitely trickled its way down into college. We have seen it out on this field in high school, but.
And even if it's not a tush push, Brendan, the guy's tall enough where he could just reach over and possibly leap for the first down, as we heard, 4th and inches. He's less than a yard away from cashing in on a first down. And in that case, you keep the clock running again. I'm not a huge fan of this timeout, although you really need the score. You're in a good enough scenario where you may benefit from getting Arlington off guard. If you're just going to try and drive it down, a timeout here may, at least to me, seem that they're going to be going for a deep shot to try and just cash in on a score, which I don't know if I agree with. Because then again, you're giving Arlington the ball back with about 2 minutes to play if they score on this drive. You want to sort of muster up enough momentum before your defense gets back on the field so you can have a chance at putting a halt to the Spy Ponders offense that scored on every single play.
Well, Nick, they're kind of in no man's land as they're set up for the tush push. And they'll try it.
Oh, man.
Very spot dependent. Arlington signals short.
That is really close.
Still no signal.
I think he got it based off that spot.
He
did. They're moving.
He did. So a first down for the Hillies. They pick it up on the tush push on 4th and an inch. And this drive is able to keep on moving.
That's the right call there by Haverhill, but now you gotta manage your time well. 1:46 left now here in the first half. You really have to consider your options in terms of how you're going to manage the clock, that you can not only score, but hopefully not give Arlington enough time to get the ball back on their own.
Farrell looking downfield, fires a laser. That is caught at about the 15-yard line. We don't have an 88 marked on the roster, so
Wow.
I apologize to who that is. We're not sure, but number 88 for the Hillies ran a nice comeback route, and the Hillies are, with 1:15 remaining, threatening. Farrell looking left, firing, pylon, caught, touchdown, Devin Carrero. That throw was on the money by James Farrell, dropped it in a bucket.
That was a dime, Brendan, and I was really closing my eyes there. If you're a Haverhill fan, you're really wincing at that toss-up there for the corner of the end zone. It's such a hard ball to perfect, yet it was executed perfectly there by the Hillies. They're able to score the touchdown, and if they can cash in on this 2-point conversion, they're only down 10.
That was a college-level throw. That was a great throw. You don't see that throw in high school very often. That's a long throw from the right hash to the back left pylon, and James Farrell dropped it in an absolute bucket. Attempting the 2-point conversion. It's a little pop pass caught. Gabriel Grisbowski.
They have that 2-point conversion method just down like clockwork, Brendan.
10-point game. 1:07 remaining in the half. 34-24 in one half of football.
They must have, like, practice sessions just on a weekly basis dedicated to the 2-point conversion. The play calling that I've seen on every single 2-point conversion has been genius so far today. Obviously, we saw 2 instances of the swinging gate. Just there, we see that little kind of toss pass right over the line. Every single one of these draw-ups has just been magnificent in terms from a play-calling perspective, and I've really been impressed on that behalf of Haverhill's coaching staff.
The tush-push pop pass, that was tremendous. But did they leave too much time on the clock, Nick?
That's the thing you got to consider, Brendan. Like I said, you don't want to leave that much time. You want to have your defense kind of muster up some momentum to take on this Spy Punters offense, and better off doing that into the second half. But regardless, they're going to have to try and stockpile that momentum here with 1:07 to go. Whoa.
And it's a little kind of onside kick.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Darian Sherry was able to recover.
I don't know how I feel about that, Brendan. You were faced with an opportunity earlier on Arlington's last drive. You were inches away from holding them to a 4th down try deep in their own end. And because you didn't get the measure was the reason that Arlington stayed on the field. If I were Haverhill in this case, I would have booted that ball all the way back and pin Arlington deep, dare them to try and put a drive together with 1:07 to go. Because now, giving them the ball near the 40-yard line, you're making a big chunk play that could bring Arlington out to the 30, a possibility to have them cash in on another score.
Try a Hail Mary or a long field goal. As that ball is intercepted. Devin Carrero. The pass was intended for Jacob Kerbel. Jack Zambardino makes his first mistake of the game. And now the Hillies have the ball at the 50-yard line with 1 minute to go. They can make it a one-possession game.
What a read by Carrero there. I'm baffled because on paper, sure, Kerbel was covered, but that's a catch we've seen him make before. And he had hands on it. Carrero just able to rip it away from him. And Haverhill's offense is back on the field now, 59 seconds to go. This is a dream scenario for the Hillies.
59 seconds remaining. I believe they have 2 timeouts remaining.
I think 1, Brendan, but yeah.
Farrell rolling left, and he's able to duck out of bounds at about the 47. A reminder, Nick, that the Hillies have not tried an extra point, and they have not kicked anything deep. So I don't believe a field goal is in the cards for the Hillies. I believe it would have to be 6.
I think you're right. $51 seconds, yeah.
Farrell returns to the huddle with the play call. Second and 5. And the snap goes over his head. Farrell, he has trouble picking it up. He still has trouble picking up. He just falls on the ball. A massive mistake by the Hillies. That's the 3rd snap that has gone over a Hilly. From that, whoever that center is.
Jake Kerbel's shaken up, but he's saying, I got to stay on the field. He motions his replacement off.
have to think the Hillies are just going to take a knee at this point.
I think they're going to take a shot, Brendan.
On third, this is the second time we've had third and
a million.
Third and a country mile.
Yeah, they're taking
They
a shot.
are going to send it downfield, directing traffic, and that ball bounced off of Devin Carrero's hand. So now it's 4th and 40.
Oh, how unfortunate for the Hillies.
Do you trust your long snapper enough to send the punt team out here?
No, I'm taking this play to the end of the quarter. I'm going to snap the ball, and I'm going to run around. God forbid you can get a pass off and make a miracle happen, fine.
8
If
seconds
not,
is a long time to do that.
You don't want to give this ball back to Caden Mills for a return. That's all I have to say.
They are going to punt it.
And who but Caden Mills is back to return it.
Alex Gomes set to receive the punt. And a head-high snap. He's able to get it off. Nearly blocked.
Oh, and Mills is going to have a chance to return. Oh.
And Mills let it go by. And that will be the half.
Lucky bounce there by Haverhill. That almost fell into the arms of Hill. Of Mills, I should say. And that would have been a huge opportunity for the Spy Ponders to try and claw their way ahead in this one, in what has been a very intense game so far, Brendan.
Tremendous half of football. 34-24 through 24 minutes of football. It has been an offensive showcase. We will be set to bring you my color man, Nick, is heading down to the sideline right now to bring you some more information. But a tremendous half. Arlington has not punted yet. They did have the one turnover with about 1 minute and 5 seconds remaining in the half. And I believe we are going to send it down to Nick Antonakis on the field. Take it over, Nick.
And what a first half it was, everybody. At the end of one, 34-24 in favor of the Arlington Spy Ponders. 58 points notched by both teams there in that first half. And, man, it was a shootout between these two teams in this consolation bracket game. Obviously, from Arlington, we saw plenty of pressure on the offensive side of the ball, being able to pressure Haverhill constantly in terms of getting down the field and constantly scoring. They scored on every single one of their drives to open that contest. Now, Haverhill, on the other hand, they had a big chance to close out this first half with some points of their own to claw their way back within one score, but unfortunately unable to do that thanks to yet another high snap that Haverhill has struggled with all day long. Regardless, a huge second half of action coming at you in just a couple of minutes. Until then, we'll see you just after this break.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mary Pierce Field, where we bring you the second half action. Thrilling first half between the Arlington Spy Ponders, who lead the Haverhill Hillies by a score of 34-24. Nick, we had 3 punts in that first half. My name is Brendan Locke, joined alongside by Nick Antonakis. We are set to get underway. Nick, that was an absolutely wild first half.
Definitely, Brendan. Probably the highest scoring half I've seen.
Onside kick that was recovered. That was Donovan Carroll on the recovery.
Ooh. Chess match continues, Brendan. As I was about to say, it was a back and forth battle throughout the entire first half. We saw 5 touchdowns in the first quarter alone. A total of 58 points in a first half of a high school football game is not something you see every day, let alone every year at that. So this has definitely been a game for the ages. And right off the bat there, such an important first possession for Haverhill to get the ball back here and try and score. Arlington going for the onside kick, trying to throw off Haverhill a little bit.
James Farrell back out to lead the Hillies offense, and he calls his own number on this one, picks up about 2 yards.
Farrell I've been a big fan of today, Brendan. Besides that one slip-up he had earlier with the floater that I criticized him for, he's played a great game ever since.
Looked like possibly a false start, but Farrell fires a long looping ball over the middle that was nearly intercepted. He was hit as he was thrown, and that ball hung in the air for a long time.
I think it might have been a miscommunication between Farrell and his fellow wide receivers. It looked like he was going for something on a route there. He was intended target. It was obviously number 11, Brendan Piranio. So, seemed to me that there was a little bit of a miscommunication. That was just too off the mark for there to be something not going on in terms of a lack of communication.
3rd and 8, and another bad snap. Farrell's on the move, and he's brought down. Caden Mills, first sack of the game for the Spy Ponders, and the Hillies are forced to punt on their first possession.
Farrell has done an outstanding job escaping the sack so far today, especially when it has come to those bad snaps from his center. But in that case, Caden Mills not letting him get away from it there. Just an outstanding tackle, wrapping him up by the legs. And a huge loss there for Haverhill, as it turns what was meant to be a huge drive for the Hillies to assert themselves back in this contest and climb within 3 is now a punting opportunity for them.
Potential to make it a 1-score game if they went down and scored on that. Arlington has a chance now to strengthen their grip on this lead.
Another good punt there by Haverhill, setting up Arlington at the 21.
That was the captain, Alex Gomes, senior captain, running back as well for the Hillies. And the Spy Ponder offense will take the field, led by junior quarterback Jack Zambardino.
Zambardino has really impressed me as well today, Brendan, I should say, as he's really been slotted into this lineup. Obviously, it's been the first time I've seen him play all year. And considering that the Arlington and Spy Ponders have kind of adjusted their system in terms of play calling, he's done an outstanding job.
This is a give to the workhorse back. Mills bursting into the clear. Tackled from behind at the 42-yard line. Caden Mills makes the sack on the defensive end and picks up a huge gain into Hilly territory. The Spy Ponder offense gets moving.
Devin Carrerio with a life-saving tackle there, throwing Caden Mills out of bounds. We saw Mills hesitate at the line of scrimmage, just letting a second take place so the play could develop. His offensive line could grab him a hole. Although that hole was very small, Mills able to shove himself through, and just once he gets going, it's really hard to stop him. So a great tackle there by Carrerio to push him out of bounds and prevent the score.
Spy Ponders one play into the first drive. One play into the first drive of the second half, and Alexi Trapostis down across the 20, pushed out of bounds at the 10, and the Spy Ponder offense is rolling out of the locker room.
Zambardino just stayed completely stoic in the pocket there, despite the defensive lineman standing right in his face, arms in his eyes, still able to crisply get the ball off to Trapostis. Great run after the catch, and the Spy Ponders continue to move the chains at a rapid pace.
First and 10 from about the 12-yard line for the Spy Ponders. This is a give to Mills up the middle and picking up about 4 yards.
Now for Haverhill, this drive isn't a wash yet. You still have an opportunity to put a halt to the Spy Ponders in the red zone. Although they've been pretty effective there throughout the season thus far, you need a stop. And considering the way that the Spy Ponders have played, I don't know if they'd try the field goal. If they did, that would be great for Haverhill because in that case, it's still a two-score game.
Exactly right.
And like you said earlier, Brendan, it's very unlikely that we see the Hillies try and attempt a field goal as they haven't even attempted an extra point yet today.
This is the spot where we've seen Jake Kerbel. They go to him on the slant, and he dropped it right on the goal line. So a 3rd and about 7 for the Spy Ponders. Jake Kerbel was the intended receiver. They had a one-on-one matchup on the outside, but unable to connect.
And still a good amount of time left in this one, Brendan. 9:22 to go in the third quarter. If Haverhill is able to get a stop here, the play call from Arlington is going to be the most intriguing thing, but following that is the opportunity for the Hillies to try and climb their way back into this contest. It's going to be a big play here for the Spy Ponders.
Zambardino looks left, pump fakes, lofting to the end zone, incomplete.
Ooh, just broken up at the last second there, Brendan. I don't know how I felt about the floater. It looked pretty similar to that touchdown that Haverhill had just a few plays ago at the end of the first half. But regardless, he had his man. He could have thrown that one right in there. He didn't have to float it. Gave the defensive back enough time to get to the ball, and that's why I'm so critical of these lofting balls. Maybe it's because I've been watching the Patriots for the past 10 weeks, and my one huge critique with Mac Jones is the lack of emphasis he has on his strength behind throwing the ball, and it's costed Arlington here on that last play.
4th and 7. Zambardino flush from the pocket, and he is wrapped up. The Hillies make a huge stand, keeping themselves in this ball game. It's a 10-point game. Brewer Murray on the tackle.
That was a huge tackle there by Brewer Murray to bring down Zambardino. Not only in the red zone, they carry themselves out of the red zone all the way back to about the 28-yard line is where Haverhill will set up now. That's their first defensive stop of the day, Brendan. Arlington has scored on every single drive before that one.
They threw the pick. So
yes.
It
You're
was
right.
every drive and then the interception and now a turnover on downs. Can I just say what a fantastic name Brewer Murray is?
Rolls off the tongue very nicely.
What a great name, Brewer Murray.
And if you're the Hillies now, you got to get some pep in your step. You can't afford to not get any points on this drive. You've had enough opportunities to shift the momentum your way, Brendan. Obviously, as you said with the pick, which I completely blanked about at halftime. And as we just saw there, the huge sack to force a turnover on downs. You got to drive down the field here and get a score.
Farrell Stepping up in the pocket, surrounded by pressure, and he's brought down. Brady Beckenhughes. A huge play by the sophomore.
And what great coverage by the Arlington Spy Ponders secondary. They had the Hillies wide receiver corps completely locked up on that last play. As we saw, Farrell trying to extend the play as much as he could. He stayed pretty poised in the pocket. So, big play for the Spy Ponders there to force 3rd and long now.
3rd and 12. Motion across the line. Farrell looking downfield, lofting one. Caught on the sideline. A tremendous catch, getting 1 foot in bounds. Devin Carrero, another play from number 1 in white.
And he got the 2 feet down on that. That's something that's really difficult to do at the pro level, especially at the high school level. It's really hard to see players not only maintain possession on those sideline grabs, but get both feet in bounds. What a great play by the Hillies to stay on the field there. A pivotal 3rd and 12 they were faced with.
Huge conversion. Farrell firing across the middle. He was looking for Carrero.
That same route we saw Haverhill's first touchdown of the game on. Arlington's done a pretty good job containing it ever since. We saw up top Carrero was double covered, but they keep trying it. They have faith in that route. But the Arlington defensive line has been absolutely destroying the pocket of Haverhill in this second half, I've noticed. Farrell's been under a lot of pressure, and kudos to him for staying poised in the pocket. And there's Carrero lined up in the slot. I don't see anybody on him too close. Maybe he pivots and they get a quick slant route.
And they hit him on the out route. Across the 50, ducking out of bounds.
Yeah, as I said, they're trying to contain him deep, so that's when you're going to have to try and hit him up close. Nico Trapotsis matched up with him. He was playing very passively there, about 5 or 6 yards between him and his, receiver that he was intending to cover. So on those situations, you got to be able to read those types of coverages and design a play where you can get a quick chunk of 5 yards, 6 yards, and Haverhill doing just that there on that last possession.
Farrell on the keeper, running over a defender, brought down after a gain of about 5. They faked it to Carrero, and Farrell kept it the whole way. And I believe that was Manu Mahithrian that just got ran over by Farrell.
For a 2-7 team, Brendan, obviously the Hillies going into this, the expectation walking into this game and seeing them with a record of 2-7, obviously neither of us have seen them play so far this year. They're really impressing me. This is a well-structured offense. Their defense obviously has given up a lot of points, but this is a talented Arlington offense they're matched up against. Their play calling has been great. Farrell has been unfazed, driving his team down the field in multiple scenarios. I'm just overall really impressed by the way that the Hillies have played today.
Farrell rolling right, and that's intercepted by Kerbal.
I really jinxed them there, huh?
that was a textbook announcer's jinx by Nick Antonakis. Wow.
Kerbal read that like a book.
Right when the Hillies were driving, Jake Kerbal comes up with a huge interception.
And it may be plays like those that have costed the Hillies all year long, Brendan. We don't know. They could have been playing great football, but when you kick yourself like that at pivotal points of the game, you're down 10, you have a chance, you're driving down the field midway through the third quarter to try and climb yourself whack into this between, down 3 points you would have been if you scored. Just unable to convert.
Still on his feet, Trapostis out across the 35. No, that was Kerbal. That was Kerbal. 6, not 5, excuse me. But this will be coming back. Looks like a false start or a hold. One of the two.
I think it was a hold. You're right.
That was a little tunnel screen to Jake Kerbal.
Kerbal's been so effective on those screens all year long just because of his sheer size and ability to make yards after the catch, especially after contact. He's been just outstanding at keeping it going, even after getting hit on a play. But unfortunately, it's brought back. 1st and 15 now for the Spy Ponders.
First and 15 for the Spy Ponders, just shy of the 50-yard line. This is a give up the middle. The Mills dragging defenders and picking up about 7 or 8 yards.
And if you need a play to get yourself back in comfortable field position, who better to hand it off to than Caden Mills?
Here's a toss to Mills. Waiting patiently and ducking out of bounds.
Daniel Mota for the Arlington Spy Ponders with a great block there. He had 2 guys on him. He was basically double-teamed and able to push out those defensive linemen, allow Mills to get every yard he possibly could and make that a 3rd and 1, almost a first down for the Spy Ponders on that one.
Arlington much more content with just driving, chewing up clock in this second half. Zambardino on the give to Mills, and he gets tripped up, but it looks like he picked up the first down.
And that's why the Spy Ponders love to play in front, Brendan. When you're faced with such a talented running back, and in these types of games, all you got to do is run the clock out, let it bleed. Running plays are what you want to turn to. It's so hard to come back against a team like the Arlington Spy Ponders because not only is Mills good enough to constantly pick up those first downs, even if you're ready for the run, it's also just chipping away at the clock. And now we're down to 5 minutes left in the third quarter. Haverhill's still down by 10.
Mills' number is called once again. A nice open field tackle there by Gabriel Grzybowski.
And those are the types of tackles that Haverhill is going to need to try and stay into this one. You're going to need fast takedowns. You're going to need to wrap your arms around the waist and not let Mills get an opportunity to shake free and push forward for yards after contact, I should say.
Play fake and lofting one deep downfield. He's got a man and he just missed him.
Oh.
Looking for the freshman Alexi Trapostis, but he just let him a step too far.
That was a great ball, just a little bit out of reach of Trapostis there. But Trapostis was able to get past his defender, and if he was just one step ahead on that route, that would have been a touchdown. But regardless, just a great play by the Spy Ponders to call that number. I like the play call.
So a 3rd and long for the Spy Ponders. Have to think it's 4-down territory, though.
I think you're right about that, Brennan. And we see Mills now in the Wildcat.
Trapostis set in motion, but it's Mills the whole way. To the sideline, ducking out of bounds at the 15. Caden Mills calls his own number.
And what a go ahead, sorry.
Picks up a first down for the Spy Ponders.
What a block by Sean Boyce, Brennan. That's why I just had to jump in there and say that. It looked like he may have been guilty of a hold. He immediately threw his hands up right after he got the block off, but regardless, refs deem it clean, and Mills is able to run for the first down and keep Arlington's offense on the field.
Zambardino gives to Mills, trying to get around the corner, spinning free, and eventually wrapped up.
Getting tackled at the 11-yard line.
So no gain for the Spy Ponders. And this is a very similar situation to what we saw on the Spy Ponders' first drive of the second half. It was about 1st and 10 from about the same spot, about the 15-yard line. And they went for it on 4th and about 7 and took a huge sack.
And what was a very offensive first half for these two teams has turned into a bit of a defensive chess match here in the second half, Brendan. And Arlington, regardless of not being able to cash in on that score, like you said, as they take the timeout here, they were able to bleed a lot of time off the clock, and the same circumstances present here in this drive. Regardless of whether or not Haverhill was able to put a stop to this drive and maybe possibly escape with no added points on the board for the Spy Ponders, you're still faced with a chance where you have far less time to compete than you did before, and it's still a 2-score game.
Huge stand coming up for the Hillies, trying to keep themselves in it. Get James Farrell one more chance to make this a one-possession game. Nick, we haven't seen as much Wildcat as we thought we would.
And I'm happy about that, Brendan.
In warm-ups, we saw Zambardino taking snaps, but we figured that there would be a lot of Wildcat. We've only seen it once, and that was about 2 plays ago.
Oh, low
and
snap.
There's a low snap. Mills trying to get around the corner, cutting it upfield. And a shoelace tackle prevents Mills from punching his 3rd of the game in. But it will set up a 1st and goal. And now this Hillies defense needs to bow up.
And to build on that point of a lack of Wildcat in this game, Brendan, like you said, we were expecting it a little bit more in this one, but I'm glad that the Spy Ponders have kind of put the trust in their quarterback in this one, Zambardino, to lead this team, and he's proven it so far that he's able to do it.
Here's Mills. Depending on the spot, and he's short.
Arlington thought it was a touchdown, but don't they all whenever
Yeah,
they're in that circumstance?
We're a long way away from the opposing end zone here, so we're relying on the refs a good bit on those goal line pushes.
Now 2nd and goal, but the clock's still running. 2 minutes, 10 seconds to go now in the 3rd quarter.
Zambardino with Cherry and Mills off of his hips. It's a pitch to Cherry, diving his way in. The Spy Ponders tighten their lead. And it is 40-24. Arlington leads.
Score sheet continues to look more and more bleak for the Hillies, Brendan. And when you're faced in a circumstance like this, when the Spy Ponders are stacked in the red zone, it was a very rare opportunity that you push them out and get a sack like they did on that last offensive drive for the Spy Ponders and get the ball back unscathed with no points put on the board. You're not going to get that every day. And as we see there, Arlington able to get into the red zone. When you have a running back like Mills, it's really hard to prevent him from getting into the end zone in those circumstances. So it's really a shame to see how the Hillies were unable to capitalize on that opportunity they had earlier. And as a result, they're now down by 41-24 here.
That was actually a big extra point there, Nick, making it a 17-point game. We know that the Hillies like to go for 2. So making it a 3-possession game was Zambardino on that extra point, and the Hillies are in a big hole once again.
Still have time to play, Brendan. 1:49 left in the third quarter. And then you still got all of the fourth to try and make something happen. But when you're faced with an opportunity like this one, you need to try and assert yourself early and get some points on the board as fast as possible if you're the Hillies.
Zambardino's set back to kick it. And a kind of spiraling kick is picked up by Carrero. Trying to get a wall of blockers out across the 40. So a crucial drive here for the Hillies to try to give themselves a shot in the fourth quarter. Farrell threw a pick on his last drive. Here he is. A long throw and another tremendous catch by Devin Carrero. This kid has been showing up all night, Nick.
Carrero has been fantastic. You're right about that, Brendan. But a little bit of a high throw there by Farrell. Had to make Carrero work for that one. Regardless, he did, and they moved the chains.
Rolling right. And nearly a nice sideline catch. That's number 88, who we do not have on the roster.
That's unfortunate.
Apologize to Mr. number 88.
Maybe it's this one with no number?
Jahithan DeJesus?
Maybe.
Freshman wide receiver? Maybe.
DeJesus, if that's not you, apologies once again.
Many apologies coming from the booth.
Regardless of the result, an apology.
Yep. 1:11 remaining. Ball just over the Spy Ponder 48. And Farrell lofting one downfield. Caught inside the 10-yard line. Brandon Piranio.
What a rainbow. What a rainbow. Ooh, and number 34 for the Arlington Spy Ponders is down on that play.
That's the freshman, Alexi Trapostis.
That's a big loss for Arlington's offense if he is unable to get himself back onto the field. He's still down on the sideline as we speak. But regardless, that's the money throw you need at a point in this game when you're Haverhill. You're down 17. You really need to make something happen in that circumstance as we see Trapotis get back up to his feet.
He wants to stay in the game.
He wanted to stay on. They got to pull him out.
Yeah, when you get medical attention, you got to come out.
It's good to see him walking off the field on his own power, though.
But the Hillies with a chance to make it a 2-possession game heading into the fourth quarter.
This will be big. I almost said before that last snap, Brendan, that this is a must-score drive for the Hillies, and that has just become a lot more possible thanks to that 35-yard play there.
Farrell, 3 to his right,
you might
1 to his left.
You might want to target the new corner here on the bottom left of your screen. Oh.
They went for him. That's Peter Harrison in coverage, who we saw a lot of last year, Nick. My guy, always open 11.
Yeah.
But we have not seen a lot of him this year. That was Harrison in coverage. 32 seconds remaining.
Looked like he almost had a hold on that one, Brendan. I don't know if it was just me. It was very tight coverage. I'm always one to let them play in that case, so I'm glad there was no flag. But I did see the ref holding on to his pocket a little bit there, so got to be accountable in that case if you're Peter Harrison. But regardless, he was a huge offensive threat here. He's going to have to step on the defensive side of the ball here to keep the Spy Ponders in it.
This is a give to Grzybowski, and he is met there and pushed back. Kerbal was in on that, as well as Henry Tassimer.
Darian Cherry in there as well, number 4.
And we'll see 15 seconds remaining. We'll see if they get one more snap off before the end of the quarter. Looks like they're going to try. They do. Farrell calling his own number to the pylon, and he scores. Touchdown, Hillies. And hold the phone, Nick. We got a 2-possession game on our hands.
Caden Mills was running at Farrell there like his life was flashing before his eyes. I really thought he was going to deck him before he got to the pylon. Just a step short. And just like that, Haverhill could make this a 9-point game if they can cash in here on this 2-point conversion that they're going to try, and they've been oh so successful at throughout the entire game thus far.
A 9-possession game would be a lot. That'd be tough to come back from.
That was a swift correction on the fly. They're very different between 9 possessions and 9 points, huh, Brendan?
Huge. Swinging gate once again. Rolling right. They're going incomplete. Looks like they were going for Grzybowski. But that's the first 2-point conversion that has failed for the Hillies.
He had a man open in the back of the end zone. I don't know why he picked that option.
That was the center. That was center eligible on the swinging
Oh,
gate.
yeah, well, yeah, the only one eligible, I guess. So good on Arlington for reading that.
Although, how much of a difference does it make?
You're right, actually.
Between an
It's a 2-score game regardless.
An 11-point game and a 9-point game.
I guess a safety, but good luck getting that.
Yeah.
You're really going to be kicking yourself if you get a safety on this next defensive possession, but very unlikely in a high school football game.
So we will see if Zambardino and company have an answer. This game is not over yet. Tremendous through 3 quarters. Spy Ponders lead by 11. Gomez sends an onside kick down. It's a bouncing ball. Can anybody get on it? Eventually, Cherry does. And a huge play by Darian Cherry. The freshman, Dylan McGahan, was going after it. The Hillies tried to get tricky heading into the 4th quarter.
Yeah, McGann really hesitated to go for that ball initially.
You got to attack the onside kick. That bouncing ball, you can't be.
It's good, though, he took that last step of hesitation, because if he was one step ahead because of that initial kind of halt to go for the ball, he would have touched it and not gotten possession. And that would have been bad news for the Spy Ponders if Haverhill got the ball back. There's Mills lining up in the slot. Keep an eye on him.
Zambardino all by his lonesome, and he flips it out to Mills.
Whoa, face mask?
And he is brought down just over the 45-yard line. Setting up about 2nd and medium. Nice first play of the drive for the Spy Ponders.
I thought his face mask got ripped at throughout that play. But regardless, Mills able to gain a couple yards on that.
We have not seen a ton of flags in this game thus far, Nick. Mills on the carry. And brought down by a host of white jerseys. Will depend on the spot if he got it. Looks like it's right on the line.
And I think number 75, Henry Tasmer, is down. That's not a bright sign to see if you're the Spy Ponders.
So Tasmer, possibly a cramp.
I couldn't imagine myself being in this circumstance. He is getting his cramp stretched out in the middle of the field. And kudos to football players, because in 6th grade, when I thought about getting involved in the gridiron, I inevitably chose the path of not signing up for the football team, and I don't think I would have been able to handle it. So good thing I stuck to the booth with
you seem much
my
more
5'6" stature.
You seem a little more comfortable behind the glass than on the other side of the glass.
But they're tough players, even at the high school level. You got to have that toughness to make it in the football scene.
Mills with no gain on the play. Huge defensive possession for the Hillies. Need to force a punt or a turnover on downs.
And the number one way you're going to do that, Brendan, is through stopping Caden Mills. He has just been a lethal weapon for the Spy Ponders all day long. We've seen him in the slot. We've seen him in the backfield. We've seen him making receptions out wide. Whether it's a jet sweep, a toss, whatever the play design may be involving Caden Mills, he's just been effective.
A little bit of a miscommunication there.
Ooh.
And this is a flip to Ori Forrest. He's off to the races. It's a foot race. They won't catch him. Touchdown, Spy Ponders. Ori Forrest might have just put the game on ice. Spy Ponders will go for 2 to make it. No, they're going for 1. They're going for 1. Excuse me.
Regardless, what a play design. And we saw on that play, obviously, we saw a little bit of a hesitation there. Zambardino obviously trying to get the motion for Forrest to go in motion.
Forrest wasn't paying attention.
Once it clicked, though, I mean, it still worked. What a play design.
The fullback.
And it works in those circumstances because Zambardino has been so effective in taking his own number. Causes the Hillies defense to fall for it. And just like that, Spy Ponders are up 18.
So, just like that, when we were saying how badly the Hillies need a stop, 48-30. An offensive showcase getting put on by the Spy Ponders.
And you know what's crazy, Brendan? I have confidence in the Hillies to come back out here and possibly get a score. But the thing is, you're running so short on time now, and your defense hasn't really been able to stuff the Spy Ponders too much in the moments that it really matters, where I don't know if that's going to be enough. They're going to really need some fast-paced offense to achieve this comeback, but at the same time, they're going to need a little bit of luck, as when the Spy Ponders get the ball back, you're going to have to really hope for either a 3-and-out, a silly turnover, something to go your way to try and get yourself back into this game.
How about a kick return?
We saw it once. Definitely won't happen there.
That one, I did not. That may have been an announcer's, a kind of quasi-announcer's jinx.
That was far from a kick return touchdown, but we did see it earlier in the game.
Brandon Piranio. I believe it's Piranio. Apologize to the Piranio family. A lot of apologies up in the booth today.
Trying our best. In the pros, they have them spelled out phonetically if they need be, so that'd be nice if everybody could assemble some phonetic phonetically
To
spelled
all
rosters.
the ADs out there, please please print your rosters with phonetic spelling for the broadcasters who are left hopeless. Farrell fires left. Here is Piranio. And that ball popped loose.
Saying it was a little bit too late.
I believe he was down. Hilly's going with a little bit of tempo now.
They have to. I mean, 9 minutes, 12 seconds to go. You don't have time to dance around. Down 18, you got to get some points. Piranio becoming a new favorite target here.
We didn't see much from him the first 3-ish quarters. But
Yeah.
he has become a target. That has to come with more of a focus on Devin Carrerio, who has been fantastic today. 2 touchdowns, I believe. Second and 2 for the Hillies. Farrell looks left, looking downfield.
Oh!
And it is caught! No, it hit the ground.
Oh, my God. That would have been a great – and I think he had it. I don't know.
That looked, from our vantage point, that looked like he had an unbelievable effort by Devin Carrerio. Very nearly the catch of the year.
Wow. And, I mean, I hate to be that guy, but that might have been a defensive pass interference on that, too.
That was Nico Trapostis.
He had no eye on the ball whatsoever.
Did not turn his head.
He did not. And there was a lot of contact there. As I said earlier, I'm all of one to let them play, but in those circumstances, especially when it looked like he was going to come down with the ball, I mean, wow.
Farrell on the keeper. Picking up the first down on 3rd and 2.
This is a point of the game where Farrell really needs to step up. For the most part, he's been good. He's really taken charge and driven the Hillies downfield. But when it matters most, we saw that pivotal interception. You can't afford to have a turnover like that on a drive like this.
Farrell looks left, fires that way, and it looked like he bounced that one in.
That's what I thought, too, but they're going to rule it a catch.
They're ruling it a catch. That looked like it.
To rule the deep ball a catch and that one, to rule the deep ball an incomplete pass and that one a catch is a little bit of a flip-flop to me. But regardless, the ball ends up in the same
I
place.
mean, that we were far away from a little throwback here. Nearly intercepted by Trapostis.
Ooh. He had to get rid of that ball real fast. The pocket collapsed at a rapid pace around him. But a dangerous throw. Trapostis almost able to get in there. But unable to come away with it. 8 minutes to go now.
8 minutes, 3 scores needed for the Hillies. I'm still amazed they called that a catch.
That looked like a clear bounce from my angle.
And the Arlington bench reacted that way as well.
The whole Arlington fan base reacted the same way as well.
2nd and 10. Farrell looking left, firing long downfield, broken up by Trapostis. Tremendous coverage. He got a hand on that ball.
Great defensive play. He tracked the ball perfectly on that one to able to knock it away. Ball may have taken a little bit too long to get to where it needed to be, which allowed Trapostis to track it down, but regardless, a huge play for the Spy Ponders defense, forcing now a 3rd and 10.
4 down territory for the Hillies. Farrell, pressure in his face. It's a little screen pass, jumping it off. And with plenty of space, still on his feet, Grzybowski down to the 15-yard line.
That was a huge conversion there for the Hillies.
Tremendous call on the screen.
Looked like the play was going to hell there, but able to come away with it. That's how those screens look the majority of the time. It looks like things are going to collapse around you, but just in the nick of time as a wide open receiver to get a big chunk play.
Farrell looking right, throwing that way to the back pylon, and he nearly connected. It was a similar throw to what we saw in the second quarter when he got it to Carrerio.
Yeah, just a little bit out of reach. But regardless, still 3 more tries and another first down to gain even if they decide to go that route. But time is really against them here.
That was 15 intended receiver. We don't have a 15 on the roster, so that's 2 receivers that we do not have on the roster.
And didn't they hand us an updated roster before we went on air?
I believe they did.
That didn't work out too well.
So one of those is probably Jahithri and De Jesus, as Carrero picks up about 7.
But as I was saying, time is really against the Hillies here. Only 7 minutes, 30 seconds to go here in the contest. You're going to really need to corral the troops and get some points at a pretty quick rate if you want to climb back into this one. And that all starts at getting a huge conversion on the defensive side of the ball. Sure, you can score here, but you need to put a stop to Arlington. And the best case scenario is getting a defensive turnover.
Big splits out to the right. This is a give and a beautiful tackle by Brady Beckenhughes.
That's a big play for Arlington, forcing the Hillies back on a negative play to go into 4th down. It's going to be 4th and 5 now. The clock is running. Now, the Hillies have made some pretty great play calls all day. But do you dare to go to the end zone on a play like this, or are you just playing for the first down? Regardless, I think you got to pass it.
You don't need to have to look in the way of Devin Carrero. He looks in that direction, and it is caught! Touchdown, Hillies! 6:43 remaining. 12-point ball game.
And the crowd went silent as soon as that fell into the hands of Carrero. What a grab. What, I guess, acknowledgement of where he is on the field to stay in bounds and reach over the pylon to get the score.
That's a big boy throw as well from Farrell.
Farrell has really come alive in this one.
When he steps into it, he can deliver a good ball. He's thrown a couple of floaters, off-foot throws, but he's thrown probably 5 or 6, stepped into it and delivered really good balls.
Now the 2-point conversion. Doesn't really matter that much when you think about it, but
it's a keeper all the way, and he flips it out to Carrero.
Good containment by the Spy Ponders.
Denied, so it remains a 12-point game. As you said, Nick, not really sure how much it matters since they haven't kicked once all game.
Yep.
But 2 scores needed for the Hillies to make this.
It's all going to start with the defense, Brendan. It's been something that we've seen the Hillies struggle at all day long. Their only real defensive turnovers have been coming after long stints of the Spy Ponders holding on to the ball. That in the form of the interception and then the turnover on downs that we saw when the sack took place. Both of those drives spanned out for a pretty long time considering. If you're Haverhill, you need like a 3-and-out at worst. And best case scenario, you get a turnover, whether that's an interception, if Arlington dares to throw the ball, or possibly a fumble or something when you're going against Caden Mills, who has some of the best ball security skills that we've seen in all of high school football.
Arlington is setting up for the onside kick. Reminder that the Hillies do have all 3 timeouts in their back pocket as well. Alex Gomes to send the ball away or attempt the onside kick. It will be an onside kick. It took a bounce, but recovered. I think that's Jake Kerbel. And it is. The senior coming up with a nice play there.
And those are the plays you rely on your senior captains for, Brendan. Those big plays that you just need to get right. Arlington couldn't afford to give up an onside kick there, or else you're really giving Haverhill a chance to get back into this one. Who better but Jake Kerbel to be faced with that opportunity? And he perfectly executes his role of just getting on the ball and keeping possession.
Have to think we'll see a lot of Caden Mills these last 6 minutes.
There he is.
Picking up about 3. Ariel Desir on the tackle there.
Tackle by number 52, Brian Tejeda.
And Arlington going to take their sweet time, rightfully so.
So interesting move here by the Hillies to not use their timeout. They are saving it, and that
They're gonna
will
take their sweet time.
that will take at least 2 minutes off the clock if they force a 3-and-out here, Nick, without using a timeout to give to Mills.
You got to take this one play at a time if you're the Hillies. You just got to focus on stopping the run. And with Caden Mills at running back, it's something that's so difficult to do. And now they're going to call a timeout? I don't know. I would have stayed committed to just either, let the clock run or take all 3 timeouts now. I kind of, personally, I liked the approach that Haver was taking in terms of let's get these stops first and then we'll worry about taking timeouts. Save those for the more crucial moments of the game if we're able to climb back into it. But regardless, they elect to take a timeout here and stop the clock with 5 minutes, 37 seconds to go, down 12 points.
Realistically, Nick, without using the timeout on the first down stop, that used about 50 seconds of the clock. So the Hillies now are basically need a stop here.
Yeah, they need the 3-and-out, and I believe this is
Putting
4-down territory for Arlington.
Well, that's an interesting question. Do you want to give the Hillies the short field, or do you just want to punt it away? It's a 2-possession game. Don't give them any cheap yards.
I personally see Arlington going for it if they don't get this conversion here.
Hillies stacking the box against Mills. It's a flip to him. Kerbel. It's a reverse to Kerbel, and he picks up the first down.
That's a huge play.
A huge play call. They flipped it to Mills, and Jake Kerbel picks up a massive first down trying to salt this game away, and that goes a long way.
Clock stopped because he went out of bounds, but regardless, you get another slate of downs here. And at this point of the game, if you're Haverhill, you're looking for a defensive turnover. You got to be punching at that ball and just praying that Arlington tries to air it out in some case that ends in a bad result.
Mills bursting into the clear, putting the game on ice. Touchdown, Spy Ponders. Caden Mills, a 50-burger for the Spy Ponders. And what a game for this Spy Ponders offense, putting up 54 points.
And who about Caden Mills to do it, Brendan? Just an outstanding burst of speed through the middle. Once he gets to that second level, in most scenarios, you're just assuming that he's gone.
Well, they stacked the box, and as soon as he burst up to the second level, there's just no one there.
Yeah.
Extra point is up and good, and we have a 19-point game on our hands. And I have a feeling that the Spy Ponders can begin to celebrate this one.
Yeah, in a way, Brendan, it looks even more bleak for Haverhill. But at the same time, would you rather them score there and have a chance to try and recover an onside kick? To me, that is more likely than letting the Spy Ponders slowly bleed out the clock and then getting a chance towards the end of the game. Because you know Arlington, when they hold possession of the ball, especially when they're up, as we've talked about all game, it's so hard to try and come back against them. So,
you know, that's an interesting question, Nick. You can do that when you're down by a possession with this much time and try to get 2 possessions back. But going down 3 possessions just really makes things difficult.
And it's too bad that they don't have a kicking team, because you think about it, you get 2 touchdowns, I should say, with 2 2-point conversions. You're down 3.
Exactly right. They've had a couple of moments where if they had a kicker, they could at least attempt a field goal that would bring it to a 1-possession game.
Yeah. Now what's the approach from Haverhill? I mean, you're in a bleak spot, but
Give the ball to number 1.
yeah.
Give the ball to Devin Carrero.
Did they just take a timeout? Oh, Arlington. Okay,
Arlington
all right.
timeout.
I was going to say, that would have been a brutal timeout if you're Haverhill. At that point, if you're taking a timeout, you're surrendering the game.
So 55 to 36. Yes, you are hearing that correctly. 55 to 36 with 5:13 remaining in the game.
And yes, this is a high school football game.
This is a Division II non-playoff high school football game, Nick, and we got an absolute show put on by both offenses.
It's been really impressive to see, Brendan, from watching the Spy Ponders from a different perspective than I have in years past, from the producer role this year. It's really been interesting to see the amount of different circumstances that they've been in throughout the year, whether that's playing from behind and clawing their way back into it, from getting blown out, from dominating on the defensive side of the ball, to absolutely falling apart on the defensive side of the ball. It's been such a hot and cold season, but one thing that I can say about this year is that the hot points have been really impressive, probably the most impressive I've seen ever since I was in high school.
Farrell lofting one deep downfield, caught on the sideline. Devin Carrero, have a day.
And you got to be more aggressive on that if you're Arlington. You kind of let that one fall into his breadbasket.
He was just waiting under it like a punt.
And it stopped the clock.
Exactly right.
I'd be going end zone here if I'm Haverhill. Notch up a touchdown in 10 seconds, maybe you do have a shot.
Carrero is at the top of your screen. No, excuse me, that was Piranio.
Piranio and Carrero, 1 and 11, have both been outstanding receivers today for Haverhill. Yeah, that name's difficult to announce. Apologies to the Piranio.
I think it's Pirano.
Pirano.
Gotta be
Pirano.
Pirano. It's the I.
Yeah.
It's
P-I-R-A-I. Oh,
it's the
wait.
It's the second I. That's
Yeah, Pirano. Pirano.
It's got to be Pirano.
I thought there was an E after that for some reason. That was what was making it more difficult for me. Actually, that's Carrero. My fault. It's Carreiro.
Of course.
Which makes me want to say Carrero, but maybe it is.
I have a feeling that's Carrero.
Yeah, you're probably right. In other ways, this is an ad, basically, to the athletic directors of the MIAA to
Please,
format
phonetically.
format rosters in phonetic format, please.
Yes, please do that. It would be greatly appreciated. Farrow on the roll right, lofting one downfield. Another tremendous catch. Is he inbounds? He is.
I don't know if he got both feet down.
Devin Carrero has
Wow.
made about 6 sideline catches today. that are just tremendous.
What year is he?
Senior.
Is he? Okay. I was going to say, I mean, if this kid's a junior, maybe getting the nod from colleges. And who knows, maybe he still is. He's been very impressive.
4:52 remaining. Ball on the 17-yard line.
Oh.
And an
Looks like a
illegal
false start.
formation or
False start on Arlington.
false start.
That runs.
False start on the Hillies will set them back to 1st and 15. Empty set for the Hillies. Farrell all by his lonesome. And looking towards the end zone, Carrero.
Oh, he went flying into the net. Oh, my God.
He went hard into that net. That's meant to catch the field goals. An incredible effort by Devin Carrero, which would have been his 3rd touchdown of the game. He's probably had about 20 targets.
At least 10 receptions.
Yep. To probably 10 or 12 receptions.
Yeah. What a great game for both teams.
2nd and 15, 4:43 remaining. A little pop pass to Brito. And able to pick up the 1st down.
What an effort there.
Jaden Brito, who returned the kick in the first half for the touchdown for the Hillies. They actually marked him just short. It's a 3rd and 1.
Regardless of that, you're going to the end zone. So you really got to convert here and get a touchdown fast if you're Haverhill. 4 minutes, 34 seconds. Time is definitely not on your side in this one. So regardless, if you're the Hillies, you got to focus on one step at a time. That first step being the score, the next being an onside kick, then being another score, then an onside kick, then another score. So a long way to go for the Hillies.
Sounds easy when you say it like that. Here's Carrero trying to get around the corner. A fantastic open field tackle. Manu Mahithrian.
Great tackle.
The Hillies go backwards, and this will be a 4th and 5. And Nick, here's your ball game. Low snap.
Don't want that.
Firing to the pylon and caught. Perano setting up a fresh set of downs. They had about 3 yards to work with. 1st and goal. Looking towards Perano. Farrell flush from the pocket and broke it up there. Very nicely done by Sean Boyce. .339 remaining in the game. Hillies with a long possession here, probably over 2.5 minutes. Not what they needed. Second and goal. Farrell all the way. No, he shovels it off. Touchdown, Hillies. Gabe Grzybowski. So, a 13-point game. And the Hillies will attempt the 2-point conversion to make it 11. Not that that makes a massive difference.
Regardless, you still need 2 scores. But
Exactly right.
what I'm really anticipating seeing is this onside kick attempt that has to come from Haverhill. Looks like they're drawing up a Super Bowl play here, the amount of time they're taking to decide on this 2-point conversion, when in reality it's
Philly special.
whoa.
Spy Ponders are complaining about it looks like
Yeah,
maybe
it looked
a
like
false start.
Yeah.
Farrell looking towards the corner. Caught! What a pitch and catch. Guess who? Devin Carrero.
He threaded the needle on that one.
That was a tremendous throw.
I mean, I think you're right about it. I don't know if it was an illegal formation or a false start or what.
Well, they took a while. I'm not sure how it
Coach
wasn't a delayed game.
Frank Roche was signaling for a flag on the sideline as well. I think it came from Peronio on the sideline. Pirano on the side, on the left side of the field, on the top side of your screen for people watching at home. But
So with 3:34 remaining, it is an 11-point game. And, Nick, it's really worth bearing that there is no kicking game for the Hillies. They haven't attempted a extra point, and they haven't attempted to kick it deep all game. So, a crucial onside kick. Alex Gomes to attempt it. And he goes deep, going after the freshman. And McGahan nearly kept in.
oh, there's a flag.
Yeah, kicking out of bounds. McGahan tried to kick it out of bounds, which I don't believe is legal. Might have to check the rules on that.
I
but
think you're right.
I don't believe it's just outwardly kicking the ball out of bounds. I don't think that's allowed as far as I
Now,
know.
does that return to like a repercussion of like an attempt to retry the kick, or is it just penalized after they receive it? That's the question. Did he ever get possession? No.
No.
So that's a little bit of a questionable call in terms of.
But I think
They
they're
might-
Gonna,
they
they're gonna, he didn't. He missed when he kicked it. He whiffed. So
Was he trying to kick it?
He was trying to kick it out of bounds and he whiffed. So I don't think it will matter.
No.
maintains possession of the football at the 35.
That's a
So-
little bit questionable.
Arlington will try to salt this game away.
Regardless, why would you try to kick it? That's a little bit
Just
of a
land on
that's
the
a
ball.
sk-
Just
yeah,
try to.
that's a scary opportunity there. The amount of hand it to Haverhill, but regardless, it worked out for the Spy Ponders. And who but I believe Caden Mills will be receiving this handoff.
I would be shocked if anyone but number 8 in maroon touched the ball the rest of the way.
And timeout.
Mills on the carry. Timeout, Haverhill.
You just got to be throwing hands at that ball every possession if you're Haverhill.
Yep.
Just hope that it slips out of Caden Mills' hands by some chance.
So if they run the ball one more time,
Now, the coach is
Haver-
talking with the officials.
Haverhill can get the ball back with about, probably 240, 235, 240 if they force a 3-and-out and a punt here. And that would be with no timeout, so they would be about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. They would need 2 scores without any timeouts.
So then you'd really have to bank on the onside kick working. So I guess you still got one more shot at it if you can somehow stop Caden Mills in this unbeatable Arlington Spy Ponders offense that it's been today. But regardless, I think they still have one more timeout after this, right? They've
Correct.
used one
Correct.
on the previous drive. They used one just now, so one more to go. And we see the town trucks just waiting by the
By
the
the back
lights.
pylon.
to turn them off, to turn off the lights.
.326 remaining, and every single player on the field is within about 5 yards of each other. To give up the middle.
Whoa.
No, it's a flip to Mills and sniffed right out. Mills did a nice job staying inbounds, keeping the clock moving, forcing the Hillies to use a timeout, and nope, Mills pops right back up.
That toss there was a little bit iffy.
It was a fake.
Mills bobbled it.
It was a.
Imagine he dropped it.
It was
I
a-
would have rather just taken a knee if you're Arlington.
Yeah, you need 2 scores. Use your timeout.
Regardless, it's going to be 3rd and 15 now.
They tried to sneak him out. It was a fake to Ori Forrest up the middle, and they tried to sneak Mills out. But running towards the sideline is always dangerous in a situation like this.
Is this 4-down territory for the Arlington Spy Ponders, do you think?
No, you got to punt. Got to punt. 3rd and about 14.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Deep in your own territory.
God forbid you gave the ball to Haverhill at your 40-yard line. That's
Yeah, you just can't.
questionable.
You just don't want to give him Haverhill any freebies.
Well, this is a big play now for Arlington. Do they even dare to throw the ball, too? I wouldn't. I'd just hand it to Mills. And I think that's what they're going to do. Haverhill cannot afford to mess up this one, though.
It's a little flip to Ori Forrest. And now things become interesting if the Spy Ponders want to go for it.
That was a great play design by Arlington. That was so close.
It was the same thing, similar design to Ori Forrest's touchdown on the 4th and about 7.
Yep. Haverhill just able to wrap him up. They almost stripped the ball free, but they were Ori Forrest was able to hang on to it, I should say. And still awaiting Arlington's decision.
They're going to call timeout.
Yeah, as soon as they're going to bleed the clock out.
Whenever that clock gets down to 0. 2:25 and counting. And Coach Frank Roach uses his timeout with 2:20. And we can hear him saying punt.
I like to take this last timeout.
Or it sounded like punt. The offense is staying out there.
Ooh, this is interesting territory. If you don't get this conversion, you hand Haverhill the ball. Let's just say 2 minutes and 10 seconds left. Haverhill will get the ball inside the 45. You could take a shot to the end zone and score. In that case, if Arlington gets the ball back, it's over. Because you'll have 2 minutes left. They can just knee it out because you're out of timeouts. But if you can land that onside kick, I don't know. This is a bigger play than a lot of people would realize for the Arlington Spy Ponders.
Huge moment. Offense is staying out on the field. High formation for the Spy Ponders. They do snap it. It's a give to Ori Forrest. Spy Ponders think they have it.
That is close.
We have not gotten an official spot yet.
Yeah, it's there, but it's close. They're going to measure.
They have to measure it.
I think he might be short.
First
oh, no,
down.
They're giving it.
They didn't even have to measure. First down, Spy Ponders.
It must be the angle that we're at, Brendan,
And
because that to me looked short.
They can knee this game away. The Spy Ponders put up 55 points.
What a daring call by the Arlington Spy Ponders.
They don't even give it to Mills.
Roche.
They didn't give it to Mills.
No, they give it to Ori Forrest. And what a great play design, and what persistence by the Arlington Spy Ponders to go for it there. And just like that, they go from this game being a down-to-the-wire finish to being over, just like that.
Victory formation for the Spy Ponders. 99 total points in this one, Dick.
Almost 100.
That's right. 99 is almost 100.
I mean, yeah, but I mean that would have been a momentous moment.
It would have been fun, for sure.
Could have been a fun time. We'll take the 99 club.
Yeah, 99's not half
50
bad.
burger for the Spy Ponders.
Always appreciate a good 50 burger.
You do. Especially in a close game. That rarely ever happens.
Exactly. I think it bears shouting out one last time. Devin Carrero with a unbelievable game at wide receiver. I think
it play of the game for the Hillies.
I think it was 3 touchdowns. Probably had 22 to 23 targets and probably 15 catches. Well over 100 yards. Probably close to 200 yards. Just fantastic game. Hillies put up a good fight, but it is the Spy Ponders night tonight. 55-44, your final.
And Brendan, what a game from the Spy Ponders. For a team that was looking to make a statement after their big loss last week to Peabody in the first round of the playoffs. Peabody, obviously an oh-so-tough team. They're 8-0. They were undefeated on the season, losing by a score of 34-0. Spy Ponders needed some juice to kind of reassert themselves as the team that we've recognized them as all year long. And they did just that today. A 50-burger and an overall outstanding performance by the Arlington Spy Ponders. And an interesting chant taking place on the PA. I was a little bit confused.
You don't like Ric Flair?
Oh, is that Ric Flair?
That's Ric Flair. Hitting him with the woo. New win song for the Spy Ponders.
I like it.
As
call back to the good old days of WWE or WWF.
WWF at the time, exactly. So, Nick, final takeaways. We will see him down on the sideline very shortly. 55-44, your final from Mary Pierce Field. A tremendous high-scoring game. Very reminiscent of some of those, almost like an Oklahoma State Bedlam game. Nick is getting set on the sidelines to bring you the post-game report, possibly an interview. I'm not going to promise anything, but maybe an interview. We'll see. We'll see if he's frisky enough to flag a player down. And we will send it down to him when he is ready. Stay tuned, folks. We're getting down to Nick Antonakis on the sideline. Down to Nick Antonakis on the sideline.
The Arlington Spy Ponders with a huge win in this one, everybody, by a score of 55-44. The Arlington Spy Ponders with a huge victory to come away with the big consolation bracket win. It was an offensive shootout for both teams, but Arlington able to stay persistent and come away with the much-needed win. Obviously, on behalf of everybody here at ACMi Sports, we want to thank you so much for watching today's action, and hopefully, best of luck to the Spy Ponders throughout the rest of their playoff season. From ACMi Sports, my name is Nick Antonakis.